Whether you operate one forklift or thousands, one location or hundreds, the new My Toyota customer portal can help you optimize your operation and material handling equipment. This one-stop, free-to-use platform is designed to help you take control of your information and make smarter decisions, all at the touch of a button. Register and access your data today at my.toyotaforklift.com. That's my.toyotaforklift.com.
Today's warehouse needs to keep inventory moving smoothly and quickly. Meet these challenges with on-demand warehouse labeling from Brother Mobile Solutions. Our mobile and industrial printers will help optimize your operations to achieve the speed, reliability, and durability your warehouse needs. With easy integration for existing warehouse technology, convenient portability, and upfront affordability, Brother Mobile Solutions is at your side when it comes to warehouse labeling. Try one for free today by visiting brothermobilesolutions.com/new warehouse or click the link in the show notes. That's brothermobilesolutions.com/new warehouse to try one for free today.
The New Warehouse Podcast, hosted by Kevin Lawton, is your source for insights and ideas from the distribution, transportation, and logistics industry. A new episode every Monday morning brings you the latest from industry experts and thought leaders. And now, here's Kevin.
Hey, it's Kevin Lawton with the New Warehouse Podcast, bringing you a new episode today. And on today's episode, I am going to be joined by Scott Cubbler. He is the CEO at Motion2AI. And Motion2AI is bringing software and sensors to the warehouse space for forklift tracking and telematics and much more, I believe. So we're going to dive deeper into Motion2AI and what they're really doing and get a little bit into the conversation of AI within the warehousing space as well, which is certainly a hot topic, I think, in every industry at this point. So, Scott, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Definitely happy to have you on. Happy to be learning more about Motion2AI. I think some of the things that I've seen that you guys are doing are very interesting and very impactful to the space. So I'm interested to hear a little more detail on that. But for those that are not familiar with Motion2AI or haven't seen anything about you guys yet, give us a little insight into what it is that you guys do.
Yeah, sure. So Motion2AI is an AI software company. And, our goal is to bring AI to warehouses in a very simple, very uncomplicated way. And we have an IoT device. We call it our Motion Kit that we put on forklifts. Mm-hmm. It can install very quickly, less than 15 minutes. And it's got multiple cameras, multiple sensors on it. And we apply AI and machine learning to all the data that those cameras and sensors capture. And we can use that data to immediately have an impact on safety, productivity, help warehouses reduce costs. And then we take all of the data that's generated from our Motion Kit and we analyze it and push it back to our customers through our Motion Studio to allow them to make data-driven decisions to help them to run their warehouses more efficiently.
And it's very interesting. And I think, it's so much of as I mentioned kind of there in the intro, AI is such a hot topic throughout, I think just the world at this point, right? It's all over
everywhere,
the place, right? So it's interesting that you guys are utilizing AI in this way and extracting that data from the forklift side, which I think is very interesting. But I guess before we dive deeper into detail on how Motion2AI is leveraging the AI and that data, talk to us a little bit about, how artificial intelligence itself is impacting the warehouse industry specifically. How important is it right now for the warehousing industry to be embracing AI?
Yeah, well, it's funny. I literally read an article 2 days ago that said, disappointingly, that 80% of the warehouses today are not using any type of these advanced or newest technologies, including AI. Mm-hmm. And it's disappointing, but a lot of these tech projects, I've been in warehousing my whole life. And so I've seen a ton of these tech projects, and they tend to be, they can be very costly, but they also tend to be very complicated, right? You have to connect to multiple systems. Sometimes you have to change your processes to take advantage of the technology, and they can be very slow to actually get to any kind of return. So as a result of that, the vast majority of the warehouses really struggle to embrace a lot of this new technology. They're still using, stick tallies to track productivity. They're still using some basic training for forklift safety and things like that. So, with our motion kits, again, like I said, they're very easy to install, less than 15 minutes. There's no other systems to connect to. You don't have to change any of your processes, and it's incredibly quick to get to an ROI. Our customers have seen it to be less than 5 months on average. So it's very quick. Yeah. So it's very quick to kind of get there. And then, every single warehouse, though, like the ability to use AI to go tackle key metrics in warehousing like safety and productivity, it's critical, right? So our motion kits, they keep track of the environment surrounding every forklift, and we can provide audible and visual alarms to forklift drivers if there's any kind of dangerous situation. So if a collision is imminent, if they're driving too fast, if they are driving through high congestion areas, we can warn them and have them slow down and proceed with a little more caution. And from a productivity standpoint, we can track how much work each forklift is completing every shift. We can track how much each forklift is actually being used. We can identify obstacles in forklift drivers' paths, and we can have them avoid travel delays and things like that. So we can bring that AI in a very easy, uncomplicated way to tackle the big metrics that warehouses are looking for help on, and that's safety and productivity.
Yeah. And I think those two metrics are so important. I'm myself, being in warehousing for a long time, safety is of the utmost importance. And so I think that's what's most intriguing to me. And then the productivity gain along with that makes a lot of sense too, because sometimes you see where, there's kind of a butting of heads a little bit where, your safety manager is saying we need to invest in this tech to improve safety, but then there's not necessarily like a productivity or efficiency gain from it. It's just a cost, and it's, kind of this financial thing, which it shouldn't be, in my opinion, but it's good that you can utilize technology to be able to handle a safety aspect and then also that productivity aspect as well.
Well, I worked in a warehouse that unfortunately one time had a very serious accident. Right.
Yeah.
And we were closed for 4 or 5 days because of investigations. Yeah. We had to ship orders from another warehouse. It literally cost the company I was working with something in the neighborhood of $300,000.
Wow.
Just one accident.
Yeah.
So safety is important. Obviously, bringing people home every single day is the most important goal in any warehouse. But there's a ton of costs associated with safety accidents as well. So it's very important. I'm very proud of the work we're doing at Motion2AI to make safety a much better metric in every warehouse.
Yeah, it's definitely a beautiful thing. And I love that it's easy to install and use as well.
Yeah.
So now on the installation, I mean, you mentioned the sensors in there a little bit, but you said there's some alerts that the forklift operators are getting. I mean, how are they getting those alerts? Is that coming directly out of the sensor? Is there a screen additionally? What does that look like? So
we do have a light bar.
Okay.
Right. And it's like a beacon light. It flashes to alert the driver to a problem. And there's also an audible alarm that comes right out of the motion kit. So it's configurable, so we can have any kind of setting that we want. So some warehouses, because of the ambient noise, it has to be very loud. Some of them, it can be a little quieter. So, but we do it. The motion kit, there's also a light bar that comes with it. And again, it provides that real-time feedback. Before any accidents happen, we can alert the driver to the danger.
Very interesting. And I think that's a great thing too, because, we see even I'll say I was at a conference recently last week, and we had a booth there, and even the breakdown. I mean, the forklifts there were just going crazy within the convention center, and there's like so many blind spots and things like that, and having that extra assist. I think a lot of times we see where there's some forklift accident or something like that, and I think we point to the operator, but sometimes it's the setup of the physical space, and it's challenging to have that visibility. So having that extra assistant in a sense through the sensor and some type of warning is certainly something that makes a lot of sense. I mean, we have it on most modern cars, right? So why can't we have it on forklifts too? I mean, there's the same amount
very
of
similar
danger.
technology. And those forklifts are also, I mean, it's the most important piece of equipment in every warehouse.
Right.
And they're all over the place. And every warehouse has multiple forklifts. And the thought of putting cameras and sensors and smart AI on those pieces of equipment and turning them into data generating assets, it's really exciting about the potential that the uses we can come up with.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think it's really interesting because at the same time, while, the initial focus sounds like it's on that safety aspect, and then there's also this productivity aspect. At the same time, you're seeing a lot of, from the IoT sensor, you're getting a lot of real-time visibility, which I imagine you're collecting a lot of data as well. So talk to us a little bit. We've talked kind of from the forklift operator perspective, but from the back-end perspective, a warehouse manager, someone who's in charge of operations, I mean, how can they now take all that data that's being collected and do something actionable about it?
Well, first off, the data and the video that we provide to managers of any incident is tremendously important in terms of understanding what exactly happened when accidents occur, right? And we can prevent them. So it really makes the training of forklift drivers so much more rich and more valuable. So we can show near misses, for instance, and be able to capture the video before and after, and you can really provide a much more valuable training experience first and foremost, right? Another important component is, we can collect all of the data, and we can tell every warehouse manager where the trouble spots are in their warehouses. Maybe it needs more lighting. Yeah. Maybe you want to reduce pedestrian traffic in a certain area. Maybe there's a congestion of certain products that need to be spread out to make the traffic patterns a little more palatable. So there's a lot of information we can provide, including things like, a warehouse. Just this week, I was on a call with them, and we explained to them, of their 35 forklifts, 8 of them were not being used hardly at all. Oh, right. Wow. And they're leasing them. So 8 of their 35, they would be able to go without. Right. So we do provide valuable insights into their asset utilization, individual forklift driver performance, travel distances, congestion areas. So it's a ton. And I think this is critical too. As AI is coming to warehouses, most of these warehouses don't have data scientists, right? They're not good at culling through the data and find the actionable piece. Yeah. It's up to us as providers of AI, I think, to put that information back to customers in a very clear, actionable way. So we, through our Motion Studio, can tell our customers, here's the forklifts that you should get rid of. Here are drivers that need to be retrained. Here are the number of accidents that you potentially avoided. So we can provide really good information. And I think it's our responsibility as an AI provider to provide that information back to warehouse managers in an easily digestible way.
Yeah, I think that's so important, and I agree there. I mean, myself, I'm a data guy and Excel guy and all this stuff, so I was always comfortable with that as a warehouse manager. Yeah. But I certainly worked with other managers and supervisors that they're like, I hate Excel, I hate data, right? But you can't really drive any improvement unless you're utilizing that data. But I think to your point, And especially you look at these, small to medium sized businesses too, where, they're trying to catch up with technology to be able to still compete in this world. And, they certainly don't have a data team or a data scientist to be able to process this stuff and really understand where, they're potentially losing money. Like you said in that example where, 8 forklifts are really not being utilized at all. So being able to give that, I think, being able to collect that data is one thing, but then being able to give it in that digestible format to be able to take action and really just understand what to do without having to do many major analysis, I think is one of those pros and benefits of AI. So, I mean, in that regard, I mean, what does it look like for someone who's utilizing your system to understand, like how would they see that their utilization rate is low on those 8 forklifts? Would there be some kind of alert that pops up, or they ask, how does that work?
So a couple things. There are, and again, a lot of this is configurable. So we work with each customer to figure out how best to do this. But there are some things that we can provide an immediate alert to the managers. For instance, there's an accident that happened. Let's say a forklift hit an upright, right? Ooh. I've been in warehouses for 35 years, and uprights are getting hit all the time, and nobody ever reports it, right? And you can be walking down an aisle and you can see a damaged upright, and you have no idea where it came from. Yeah. We can provide immediate alerts if there is an impact to managers and tell them it had happened. Tell them which forklift number had it. We could provide them the video of the incident before and after so they can see exactly what happened. But other things maybe that are not so urgent, we use in a dashboard format, right? Yeah. So we communicate with pretty clear metrics back to the warehouse managers so they can log on, they can see in our Motion Studio, they can see their dashboard, they can actually track individual forklifts. We have the ability for you to literally click on a forklift and see what they're seeing at any point. So you can see all of the forklifts in motion. And we generate a ton of reports and data in a dashboard format that the managers can then take action on.
Step, step, step. Do you know how many steps your warehouse workers are taking a day? When your workers are walking, you're losing money. Endless trips to the printer or computer add up fast. Newcastle's mobile industrial carts with integrated power eliminate the walking to stationary printers and computers, keeping workers focused on high-value tasks, often doubling their output. Thousands of powered cart installations, including ones at the new warehouse's own micro-fulfillment center and in my previous jobs, prove that Newcastle customers get more done and save money. To learn more, head to newcastlesys.com. That's newcastlesys.com.
We'll be back after a quick break.
You hear a lot about supply chains these days, because if the past couple years have taught us anything, it's that an efficient, well-managed supply chain is absolutely critical to keeping businesses successful and consumers happy. I'm Will Haywood, and I host a podcast called All Business, No Boundaries, where we talk about supply chains, how they work, what happens when they don't, and the innovations that are redefining what's possible in the world of logistics. Join me for insightful interviews with thought leaders and industry experts. We discuss how optimizing supply chains can break down the barriers that are holding businesses back. That's All Business, No Boundaries by DHL Supply Chain. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Very interesting. And I think that's a great thing. And I certainly have seen tons of beams and uprights that have been hit and wondering, hey, that did not look like
How'd
that 3
happen?
days ago. Yeah, nobody said anything, right? So, I mean, I think it's great in that aspect that for a warehouse manager, especially as we look at some of the sizes of these buildings, you can't have eyes all over the place, and you can't know what's happening, especially if you look at some other operations like e-commerce fulfillment, especially. You have large numbers of employees in there. You have a lot of forklifts running around. It's hard to keep track of all that stuff as just a human, right? So having that extra tool to be able to do that, I think is a great thing from the manager supervisor perspective. But I'm curious on the forklift operator perspective, employee perspective on the ground. I mean, how is this beneficial to them, and what's some maybe potential feedback you're hearing from the floor from them on how it's helped them improve their job?
So without a doubt, and again, I've spoken to thousands of warehouse workers over my 35-year career. The number one concern for every single forklift operator out there is getting home safely every day, right? So it's very clear as soon as this motion kit is installed, it's very clear, I think, to every single operator, this is going to help them stay safe, right? Now, it also, just like with your car, if you go over the line a little bit, it beeps or it gives you a little vibration, right? And it gets you back and it keeps you focused, right? So it does require the forklift driver to stay focused, and it reminds them every time that they need to do that. So, but every single warehouse worker knows that the most important thing this motion kit does is provide a safer environment for every forklift operator, right? So, so I do think that they feel good about it. It gets installed. Now, they're also going to be held accountable to some things as a trade-off, but I think every operator is willing to make that trade, and they see the value of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's great to hear, because it certainly is a tool that I think can help them to have a better work environment, certainly not only just for themselves, but staying focused, but also for the others that are driving forklifts around them too, I believe, and the pedestrians too that are on the floor. I'm certainly that, getting that sensor and alert when in proximity to something or potential to crash, as you mentioned, I mean, I think is a great thing to be able to protect everybody around the facility. So it's really, really a great thing. And so it's, we're looking at this AI, and we talked a little bit about how AI is kind of coming into the warehousing industry. But, one conversation I've been having quite a lot, and I think if we look, especially over the last year, maybe 2 years, and we look at kind of the technology that's coming out just in the world in general. We look at, AI, robotics, automation, all these different things, IoT. It seems like they come out and it's kind of like this thing that is like mainstream, talked about conceptually, and then ultimately it ends up a lot of the time, majority of the time, with its practical application within the warehousing world and the warehousing industry. So I'm curious your thoughts on that, and why do you think that a lot of these kind of cutting edge new technologies really find their practical home within our space?
Yeah, that's a great question, because it's absolutely true. It's an exciting time to be in supply chain these days. But, every warehouse I've ever been in, they're always fast paced. They're always incredibly dynamic. They're constantly changing. They can often be hectic places to work. And they're also very labor intensive, right? And especially nowadays when it's so tough to hire and retain people, and it's so critical that every single warehouse manager out there is looking to improve safety and improve productivity and reduce costs in this very chaotic, fast-paced, labor-intensive environment, right? I think I've read somewhere that about in a lot of warehouses, it's about 65% of your cost is labor related.
Right.
So it really is a ripe market for AI and for new technologies and for automation to come in and help, right? All of these warehouses. But it has to be easy, right? And this is why 80% of the warehouses really haven't embraced this game yet. It has to be easy. It has to be uncomplicated, because margins tend to be pretty thin. They don't have a lot of time to spend years working on projects. I've seen so many tech projects get bogged down over the years because it was just too hard, right? So it's a great time to be in the supply chain space right now. AI is going to help solve a lot of these problems for warehouse managers.
Yeah, I think so, definitely. And I think it's such an interesting thing, and it's exciting to be working in the warehousing space.
It is.
I think because
It's a
of
fun
all
time.
this stuff going on.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm curious. I guess in that sense too. I mean, AI is such talked about, but there's also kind of some. I guess there's some negative connotations out there about AI too. People are scared a little bit on what is it actually if they're not familiar, and what are the potential as AI grows stronger and things like that. So, I mean, what do you say to people that maybe are skeptical about AI, maybe are uncertain about whether they want to bring something like that into their operation? I mean, how do you kind of alleviate those concerns?
Yeah. Well, I think it's a really good question. And I think there are a ton of skeptical people out there. I think it's normal for people to be a little bit hesitant.
Yeah.
But AI, first of all, it is the wave of the future. It's not going to stop. I think it's for especially old people like me, you have to embrace it. You have to keep an open mind to it. But it can really help if you understand it, and if the technology is being applied in a simple, uncomplicated manner. If you're going to apply the technology in a way that's going to make your employees safer every day, there's nothing more important for a warehouse manager than taking care of their employees. Right. So AI has the ability to make your teams more efficient, to reduce costs, but most importantly, make your employees safer. And if you can do that in an easy, uncomplicated way, there's no reason for warehouse managers to be hesitant about it.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. And I think, anything that's going to kind of echo what you're saying. I mean, anything that's going to help you to manage better and take care of your people better, I think is ultimately going to be a benefit to you. And you shouldn't hold back on trying to bring that in and making sure that environment is a safer and more better place, which will ultimately result in more success for that operation.
100%.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, so I think that's really great there. So we talked a little bit about the Motion2AI, motion kits, and the easy installation of 15 minutes, right? But if somebody wants to get set up with Motion2AI, I mean, what does that look like for an implementation besides the installation of sensors? Is that it, or how does it work overall as a system?
Yeah, it's almost that easy. Right. But essentially, you can go to our website, motion2ai.com, and you can schedule a demo, and we would have somebody walk through the technology with you. Mm-hmm. If you decide it's something that works for your business, then literally we would bring a team of people out there. We install the motion kits, and we install what we refer to as fiducials. Mm-hmm. They're essentially our codes, essentially, that we place around your warehouse that helps us geolocate the equipment and help us track it and triangulate it. But it's literally as easy as 10 or 15 minutes for every forklift. We hang up a bunch of fiducials, and you are literally off and running. And that day, your safety incidents will decrease. Right. And that day, your forklift operators will start getting the feedback that they need.
Very interesting and very easy too. I mean, I think that's such a key to the technology, is making it easy to put in place and be able to see almost the immediate results, to instant have that benefit. Kind of like, have that like embrace of the technology. I think that's how you kind of get that newer technology to really pay off and be able to evolve and scale as well. I think it's really, really smart, that approach, to make it so easy. So, we talked about Motion2AI and what you guys are doing currently with safety and productivity and some telematics on forklifts. But obviously, AI is, as we know, continuously learning and evolving, right, and getting smarter, we could say. So, so as Motion2AI continues to evolve, what are you going to be doing, I guess, beyond the forklift tracking and telematics? How else are you going to be leveraging the technology and rolling out in the future?
Yeah, it's exciting and I said this before, when you think about these forklifts are driving everywhere across the warehouse, and some sensors and some cameras and smart AI, we're really limited only by our own imaginations about what we can do with that and how we can bring value to it. So right now, in the very short term, we're very focused on our productivity and our safety suites of features.
Right.
We have some new things coming out. For instance, in the next month, or all of our motion kits will be able to actually detect pedestrians, right? So anybody walking in your blind spot, anybody walking in your area, if the driver doesn't see it, we can give them that warning. So our cameras are able to identify people, right?
Okay.
So that's going to be a big help. We have a number of, reporting about near misses, right? So we'll be able to identify which forklift drivers really need training. So that almost as important as being able to detect an actual incident is to be able to who's having like too many near misses. So that's going to be helpful. Longer term, we have a lot of ideas about how we can actually provide inventory value. So as we're driving up and down these roads, we can be scanning product license plates. We can be identifying damaged inventory. We can be looking for open places that you can do put away to. We can even potentially be doing some basic inventory, driving up and down these rows, just while we're completing our day-to-day work. And then, the ability to actually scan the pallet itself, the pallet label, will enable us to take steps out of the typical receiving and shipping process, and it'll be able to improve productivity even more.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
And then beyond that, there's a whole litany of areas that we see that we can bring value to.
Yeah, I think it makes so much sense, kind of the directions you're going in there from what you're saying, because you are kind of, as these forklifts are moving around, there's so many opportunities to capture so many different types of data there. And I love the near miss, because I think, we talked about, not being alerted or people telling you that they ran into an upright or a racking beam or something like that and finding out later. I mean, especially you don't have people telling you that there was a near miss. And I think sometimes
I almost hit something.
Yeah. I think even sometimes people don't even realize that there was a near miss, right? Because nothing bad happened, right? So everything's okay. But those near misses ultimately drive so much improvement in your safety culture and being able to prevent that actual accident from happening. So it's great that you're able to get that too and capture that. And I would say, actually, as you're talking about, driving around and sensing and seeing where there's empty locations for put away, I would love to see a feature. This is my feature request I'm putting out there. I'd love to see a consolidation feature where maybe the sensors can understand where a pallet is at a certain level and only a couple boxes left, and there's an opportunity to kind of consolidate there with another location and free up space.
So if we could identify the same part number that has less than half a pallet, where we could consolidate them. I like that. I'm writing it down.
Yeah, there you go. So remember the credit is here on the recording. So I mean, really interesting. So really interested to see how this continues to evolve, and very, very interesting stuff. And now you guys are going to be at CSCMP Edge in the fall, is my understanding too. So tell us a little bit about that and what people can expect to see there.
Yeah, so I don't know if you've ever been to Edge, but it's one of my favorite trade shows. I was there last year, and this year it's down in Kissimmee, Florida. And we're so proud to be a major sponsor this year. It's just a great opportunity to connect with leaders in the field and to exchange ideas. And for me, just to learn about what's going on and the new trends and what's coming down the pike. So we're going to have a great booth right centrally located. People can stop by. We're going to have some great demos. We're going to have a big product release announcement ready in time for the Edge conference. We're going to be hosting a luncheon, the Strategic Leaders Luncheon on Tuesday of that week, which is exciting. We're a chance to talk about AI and the exciting developments. And the other thing that's, I think, important for your listeners, if you go to our website, motion2ai.com, and you click on the Edge tab at the top, follow the instructions, you can save $900 off your registration.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's a lot.
So it's an exciting place. I hope to see you there. I don't know if you've ever gone to Edge.
I have not gone to Edge, but I believe that I will be there this year. So I'm definitely excited.
Excellent. Well, look forward to seeing you there. It's a good one.
Absolutely. And I think it's a great savings too as well. We'll put that direct link at thenewwarehouse.com too, so people can easily find that. And it sounds like you guys will have a very large presence there. So that's exciting and very interested to see that. So very exciting stuff coming up and very exciting stuff currently going on with you guys. And I'm curious from the AI perspective, kind of as our closing thought here for those people that are listening and AI is piquing their interest and, they're looking to see like, how is AI going to fit in their operation? What makes sense to explore? What advice would you have for someone who's looking to implement AI into their operations? How can they prep for that? What's the right steps to take?
Yeah, well, first of all, anybody that's thinking about it, first of all, I would congratulate them because, like I said, 80% of the warehouses haven't gotten that far yet, and we need more warehouses to take that step, right? But, my biggest piece of advice, I think, for anybody looking at those type of projects is to just keep it simple, right? You don't want to get bogged down in an overly complicated project. Take some steps, find projects that can make your team efficient and make your team safe. At the end of the day, those are the most important metrics, I think, that are out there. And find a partner, an AI partner or any tech partner, frankly, that's going to bring kind of long-term value to you and your company, right? You're looking to find a relationship partner, an AI partner that's going to grow with you and bring you value for years to come, not just a quick short-term project. But those would be my immediate pieces of advice.
All right. Great advice. And definitely I agree that, more people should embrace it. And definitely the more people that do, the better it will get and the more it will evolve and become more accessible too. So really, really interesting insights from you here, Scott, and definitely appreciate you coming on the show and telling us all about Motion2AI and giving us some insights into the power of AI in the warehouse as well, and be looking forward to seeing you at CSCMP Edge, and we'll definitely post that direct link so people can get the savings of the $900, which is
great.
Decent amount of money. I'll say that's a good savings.
That's a good amount.
Yeah. And we'll definitely post those links at thenewwarehouse.com as well, so people can easily find it. And actually, we have a partnership with you guys. So if you go to motion2ai.com/podcast, you'll get 1 month free of Motion2AI.
Excellent.
So we'll definitely put that link too as well. So Scott, thank you once again for coming on the show today.
You've been listening to the New Warehouse Podcast with Kevin Lawton. Subscribe and check us out online at thenewwarehouse.com.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you want more content from the New Warehouse, check out our new video series called All Hands on LinkedIn. Just search for the New Warehouse on LinkedIn and follow along.